Welcome to Monday, March the 10th, 2014 school board meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Roll call, Mrs. Cropper.
Ms. Sanborn?
Present.
Mr. Merchant?
Present.
Mr. Lewis?
Present.
Mrs. Brinkman? Present. Mr. Waldman?
Present.
Dr. Klein?
Yes, before we begin the business portion of our meeting tonight, I'd like to take a moment to express the district's sympathies to the families and friends of Damian Henderson, who, as many of you know, was tragically killed last night in an accident on 275. Damian is a sophomore at Amelia High School, and he has a sixth grade sibling that attended Amelia Middle School as well. And, you know, for me, it's times like these, and I'm sure it is for many of you, a time for us to stop and reflect on the importance of life and the work that we do, and for many of us, the great work we get to do with children every day. If you would, as a group and as a West Claremont community, join me in a moment of silence to remember Damian, his classmates, teachers, and families during this tragic time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Klein. Public comment. Jordan McGraw, Glen Estee Middle School roof leak.
Hello, my name is Jordan McGraw. I live at 4604 Blainfield. I'm a 7th grade student at Glen Estee Middle School. I'm here to ask for help with my classrooms, 313 and 315. The roof leaks so bad my teachers have to put out several buckets per room to catch the rainwater. I'm worried that it is a health and safety hazard and it smells really bad. Please come and fix the roof at my school. Thank you.
Thank you. David Schaaf, Business Advisory Council and Restoration of Programs.
Good evening. My name is David Schaaf. I live at 945 Shireton Court. First, I'd like to say how happy I am to see all these friendly faces in the audience tonight. It's refreshing to see the interest remain high at these board meetings, so people can better understand how the school district affects everyone in the community, whether or not they have children that attend the schools. Next, at a previous meeting, Mr. Lewis asked if the district had a business advisory council. He was told no, the district does not. This is something that I think the board should really consider. A business advisory council could help raise community awareness that education is the collective responsibility of the entire community, as well as help define educational outcomes that serve the needs of both business and the community at large. A business advisory council could be invaluable with the new workforce readiness program. Finally, I would like to offer my praise and thanks. At your last work session on March 1st, the administration offered suggestions to you to reinstate certain programs and services that were taken away by previous administrations and boards, as well as introduce new programs that would enhance our children's education and hopefully keep West Claremont students in West Claremont. You all agreed as one board to move the district forward. It's my understanding that these proposals were presented to your immediate predecessors back in December, but 3 of those board members said no and chose not to move forward because of fear of backlash from the community over the failed levy. It is also my understanding that these program reinstatements and introductions are made possible because at the end of last year, the district's 5-year forecast was revised to include additional state funding and other revenues that were not known prior to the election and went from an anticipated deficit of $20 million to a surplus of $4 million during the next 3 years. Those were the figures that were reported on Cincinnati.com in an article that was posted on Friday. That's a huge financial jump, and I'm sure that some in our community would like to say that this is due to the election of 3 new board members. While the board does deserve some of the credit for realizing that the district has the opportunity to move forward, I think that most of the credit goes to the administration for finding additional efficiencies, and to the teachers and staff for extending their pay freezes and increasing their benefit contributions. All in all, I'd say that this was a team win for our children. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Christine Dimwitz, changes for the 2014-2015 and school board actions.
My name is Christine Denowitz. I live at 1117 Ferris Road. I'm the parent of a third grader at Merwin. I don't normally speak in public, but I've been witness to some recent events that I cannot keep quiet about. Last week, I received a letter from school indicating that changes are coming for the next school year, as was just talked about. Busing, phys ed, art, things that last fall Dr. Klein indicated would not be back without a school levy. I was told all cuts had been made, there was nowhere left to cut, and we were nearing a state of fiscal emergency. The voters responded not by approving a tax increase, but by changing the look of our school board, placing new members who care about our children's education, as well as the taxpayers who raise them. I thought this board has worked as a team to bring positive changes for the next school year. And then I read the local paper, which informed me that a petition has been circulating to remove board members who were instrumental in bringing about these changes, and that in fact, Ms. Brinkman had signed the petition herself. I do not understand these actions. These are changes that the previous board did not accomplish. Teamwork means support your fellow team members and respect their ideas that are brought to the table. I do say thank you for the changes that are coming, and I look forward to future changes that have yet to be presented. Thank you.
Thank you. Michelle Delaney, pay to participate.
Good evening, West Claremont board members and community. Today I stand before you as a proud parent of the West Claremont School District. I have one child who's a recent graduate and one who will be entering the high school in the fall. However, I'm speaking to you this evening as the president of the athletic boosters at Glen Estee High School. Athletics, as well as dance and band, are a very integral part of our middle school and high school experience for our students. These activities play many roles for the students within the West Claremont School District. For some students, athletics, band, and dance is a way for students to get involved, show their talent, and remain active in order to make their middle school and high school experience well-rounded. For another group of students, these activities are a way to excel and possibly pursue that next shot in the collegiate level as participation and earn a scholarship for something that they love and have done for their entire life. For a final group of students, athletics, band, and dance is that safe place that they need in their lives to keep them on track. Structured activities such as these provide a home or a family for some students that do not have that sound structure at their home. When pay to participate fees were instituted in West Claremont several years ago, it was a shock to our families. There was a decrease of 29% participation in Glen Estee athletics due to the $4.95 fee. While our community is learning to adjust to this fee, it still remains many students in our district are unable to participate in much needed activities to round out their educational experience. I'm not asking you for the fee to be removed, just for consideration to make it more in line with other districts in our area so that our students can take advantage of much needed activities in their lives. We are a team. Together, everyone can achieve more.
Thank you. Stuart Kennedy, projected surplus.
Good evening. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak this evening. As everyone knows, West Claremont has a long history of levies on the ballot in the recent years. I was not able to attend the work session meeting on March 1st in person, but according to the article that I read as well, it's already been mentioned this evening, the district is returning some of the services at the elementary level, including gym and art. They are doing so without the passage of a levy. In fact, what was previously estimated to be a $20 million deficit will actually now be a $4 million surplus over the next 3 years, again, without the passage of a levy. I applaud the members of the school board because it seems as if they have accomplished something that eluded the previous board, but many in the community have been asking for. They have satisfied those who have asked for no new taxes, but also satisfied those asking for a return of services to the children. Hopefully, with the projected surplus, even more services will be returned to the students of West Claremont. There has been much commotion in the news and online regarding a group of individuals calling for the resignation of some board members. Personally, I think asking for someone's resignation because a single word was misspoken is pretty silly. Mr. Merchant, in a previous meeting, stated the word "we" and immediately corrected himself to "I." This sure seems like a petty thing to be upset over. Have any of those throwing stones over this offense ever spoken before a large group or conducted a meeting using Robert's rules before and done so without any stumbling? In fact, when weighed against the success the board has seemingly already begun to have in the return of services and operating with a projected surplus, I believe asking for anyone's resignation at this time would be foolish. What is important here? The services to students and the financial health of the district, or continuing a circus-like atmosphere, distracting the board from its duties to the students and taxpayers. I am not sure how any parent would be supporting the call for resignations. If their interests truly lie with the return of services for their student, it would appear as if we are now on that path. With regards to the last election, one of the local news stations covering the recent West Claremont meetings referred to Ms. Sanborn, Mr. Lewis, and Mr. Merchant as Tea Party candidates. While I won't dispute that because they were supported by the local Tea Party, I suggest they be referred to as the community's candidates. The Tea Party only has a few thousand local members, but each of these candidates received well over 5,000 votes during their elections. It appears as if many voters in the community support them beyond the Tea Party. So once again, I applaud the board's recent success and urge others to do the same and let them focus on their business at hand. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Klein, we have recognition this evening.
We do, and welcome to everybody. Better turn that back on. Good evening. And yes, we do, and we have. We're thrilled to see all of these folks with us this evening. It's always great to recognize the hard work of our students and teachers. I'd ask Mr. Walker to come forward. I guess we're going to recognize those Glen Estee students who took part in the Science Challenge. So if the students involved would come forward as well. Is that this crew? Come on, come on. Come on over here. No, here you got to face that way. Face them.
Face out
there
here.
You go.
There we go. Good evening. It is my pleasure to introduce these young people here tonight, as well as Mrs. Burris, one of their science teachers and advisors on this particular trip. That what Science Challenge is an event that's been conducted over the last 15 or so years in Claremont County, where the Claremont County schools come together. Teachers volunteer their time. Generally, they start early in the year. They meet in sessions in small groups, and they create a lot of amazing events for these kids to test their science knowledge on. These groups of students come together throughout the county and compete against each other. This year there were 60 teams competing against each other from Claremont County, and our 9th grade team took first place in the nature of science, first place in biology, second place in earth science. Our 10th grade team took second place in earth science and second place in physical science. And our 11th grade team took third place in earth science overall, which was quite an accomplishment throughout the county against 60 teams. So we'd like to introduce and award those two students, and then have you guys shake hands with the board. Britton Pilot, some of them were unable to make it this evening. Claire Guckenberger, Olivia Reynolds, Kat Ritchie. From our sophomore team, Joe Dole, John Marto, Daniel Watkins, Katie Van Pelt, and Cassidy Morgan. Our 11th grade team didn't make it, but I'll recognize them. Nagora Nishanova, Cayman Pardue, Joe Michele, Katie McCarter, and Madison Gibson. And you all we're very proud of you, and I know that your teachers are very proud of you as well. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Great job. Congratulations. Congratulations. Well, it's always nice to be able to recognize academic achievements, and these guys certainly have worked hard, and we're very, very proud of them. So thank you. Congratulations. We're going to rely on Mr. Walker again. At this point, we'd like to recognize the Glen Estee High School cheerleaders who returned. I think at our last meeting, they were on the plane coming home. Tonight, we're fortunate to have them here as national champions. Congratulations, ladies.
I'm not going to do much talking for this one. I'm going to let Mrs. Sturgeon talk. But we are very proud and excited for this accomplishment for you girls, and your awesome coach that you have. I know that she works very hard for you. So I'll let you take it over. I'll hand them out.
Okay, thank you. I think everyone here has passion. Passion for the school district of West Claremont. Passion for their individual schools. Students have passion for the things that they love to do and pride in who they are and their identity, either as a Glen Estee Trojan or an Amelia Barron. I am very, very, very proud to be an alumni of Glen Estee High School. And I'm very proud to be the first coach to coach a national championship team in West Claremont. Another thing, just very briefly, 26 girls decided to cast this vision to try to attain this goal that we really, in our wildest imaginations, didn't necessarily dream would be possible. 26 girls went for it, but only 14 could actually make the trip. And I want to thank the other 12 who many of them, including some in attendance tonight, were unable to go, and I know that was heartbreaking for them. So I want to thank them, and I want to thank the community. Thank you so much to our school for all their support. We raised over $8,800 in about 2.5 months in order to fund this about $14,000 trip, and that was all funded by our families and our community. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you to the girls for all their hard work. Brooke Walton, Emily Yeager, Bethany Berger, Maggie Clyburn, Brandy Kelly, Bailey Lawson, Taylor Stassi, Maddie Blanford, who is unable to make it tonight. She's actually at work at Best Buy. Go say hi to her. Maddie Jetsy. Sophia Hines. Lexi Menzel. Miranda Bausch. Haley Campbell. And Allie Lacey. And I wanted to especially thank my daughter, Taylor Sturgeon, whom I coached as a cheerleader, and I am proudly working beside as a coach now. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Walker. Thank you, Mr. Simmons, and all the Trojan fans. Thank you so much.
They should have this down.
Show me your certificates. Yeah. Okay, everybody smile. Oh, wait. Perfect. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, right. Good job.
Congratulations on all your hard work and dedication.
Nice work.
Thank you.
Thanks for cooperating. Thank you.
Great job. Thank you.
Well, if winning a national championship isn't big news, it ought to be. That's outstanding, and we're certainly proud of those young women. Went out down to Florida, I think it was, and represented our community and our school district incredibly well. So thank you and congratulations. I wouldn't be fair, we're not going to give quite an equal time tonight, but I did want to have an Amelia High School recognition as well. And at this point, Assistant Principal Denise Amiot is going to make a presentation to Coach Craig Mazzaro.
Good evening. Mrs. Sanborn, members of the board, Dr. Klein, and Mrs. Cropper. I'm going to present Craig Mazzaro. Craig has been a teacher and a basketball coach at West Claremont Local School District for 29 years. This is Craig's 18th year as our head basketball coach at Amelia High School. He has 212 career wins at Amelia High School. This makes him the all-time wins leader at Amelia High School. Mr. Mazzaro has been a coach of the has been Coach of the Year 4 times, as won 2 conference championships. Craig, on behalf of Amelia High School, we would like to thank you for your commitment and service to our students and community, and good luck on your way to 300 wins.
There you go. There really aren't that many coaches that get to that threshold, 200 wins in a career, and certainly proud of all of his hard work and the great things he does with our kids at Amelia High School. So, Craig, thank you on behalf of the district. Great work. I think that's it for recognitions for tonight.
All right, thank you, Dr. Klein.
If there are, would you want to, if students, if you have homework to do, you're excused if you'd like to do that. Get home and finish your homework up. They're staying. Wow.
Oh.
That never happens.
Mrs. Cropper, approval of the minutes.
We have two sets of minutes in your packet tonight. The first minutes are from the regular meeting, which was held February 10th. I respectfully request that you approve those minutes as presented.
You've heard the recommendation from Mrs. Cropper. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, Mrs. Cropper?
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Waldman?
Yes.
Mr. Merchant?
Yes.
Mrs. Brinkman?
Yes.
Ms. Sanborn?
Yes. Motion carried. Mrs. Cropper?
The second set of minutes are from our special meeting, which was held just last Saturday on March 1st. I respectfully request that you approve those minutes as presented in your packet.
You've heard the recommendation from Mrs. Cropper. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? I'll second. Discussion? Roll call, Mrs. Cropper?
Mr. Merchant?
Yes.
Ms. Sanborn?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Waldman?
Yes.
Mrs. Brinkman?
Yes.
Motion carried. Mrs. Cropper, Treasurer's Business?
Next item on your agenda are the list of donations that we received over the past month, and we have a very lengthy list. So our schools have been very busy, and we do appreciate all these partners in education with us. The first list comes from Brantler Elementary, and these are the donations that they've received for their literacy night. Annie Ann's has donated 6 free pretzel coupons. Pete DeLuise Recreation Outlet donated 2 to 6 visit pay passes. Kings Island donated some single-day tickets. Scallywag Tag also donated some free laser games. Cherry Grove Lane donated 6 free game passes. Newport Aquarium donated 4 one-day passes. Cincinnati Zoo and Botanical Garden donated 2 one-day passes. Cocoa Key donated 2 one-day passes. KFC donated 20 free kids meals coupons. Theater Management Company donated 2 movie passes and 4 bongo coupons. Cincinnati Museum Center donated 2 museum vouchers. Butterbees donated a $20 gift card. And United Dairy Farmers donated 7 $5 gift certificates. McDonald's donated 25 free cheeseburger coupons and 25 free small fry coupons. Cincinnati Bengals donated 2 autographed team pictures. So that's quite a long list for Brantner, and I'm sure it's going to make their literacy night very successful. The second list of donations comes from Glen Estee High School, and these were donations that were received with a fundraiser for prom. GameWorks donated 2 play cards for 30 minutes of play each. Theater Management Company donated 2 movie passes and 4 bongo coupons. Mike's Car Wash donated 5 coupons for $5 off the works. Riverbend Music Center donated 2 free lawn tickets for the 2014 concert season. Still Meadow Country Club donated 4 one-day passes for a round of golf. First Watch donated 2 free breakfast, brunch, or lunch tickets. And that's the list for the prom fundraiser. In addition, Glen Estee High received $150 from the TJ Maxx companies for their Trojan Pride Plan. Kohl's donated $100 to the Glen Estee Girls Soccer through their community service program, and Glen Estee is planning to use those for summer camps. JC Equipment Sales and Leasing donated $1,000 for the cheerleaders to go to nationals. So you heard them speak of the money that they raised. $1,000 of that came from JC Equipment Sales and Leasing. The Reds Baseball Fund donated $1,000 to Glen Estee's boys baseball to be used for baseball supplies. And our coaches and players worked in a warehouse to earn this donation from them. Myers Eastgate donated $4,000 to Holly Hill Elementary to be used for playground equipment. And individual, Wanda Apar, donated $25 to Elementary for classroom items. And Donna Bryant donated $10 to Willowville for classroom items as well. So you've heard that rather lengthy list, and we do appreciate our partners in education and their donations that they give to make our students' life a little bit easier. That said, I respectfully request that you approve those donations as presented.
You've heard the recommendation from Mrs. Cropper. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mrs. Cropper, roll call, please.
Mrs. Brinkman? Yes. Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Ms. Sanborn?
Yes.
Mr. Waldman?
Yes.
Mr. Merchant?
Yes.
Financial statement, bills, paid list, and investments.
You have before you the financial statements for the month and the fiscal year to date ended February 28, 2014. As you can see, I direct your attention to page 1. The district ended the month with $19.8 million in unencumbered fund balance, all funds. It is a high point in our cash flow during the year, as always. The end of February is always pretty high cash flow time. So as expected, we do have around $19 million on hand. If you look at your next 2 pages, you're going to see the 5-year forecast fund, the general fund. And again, I'd like to point out the district received $12 million of revenue during the month of February as expected. The majority of that, $9.8 million, came from the county, and that is our spring collection of property taxes. That's in advance. We don't have our final settlement quite yet. We do expect a little over about $5 more million to come in before we have our final spring settlement. So as we talked about in the past, they do, as people pay their taxes, they do send us that money. It takes them a while to get all the taxes in and accounted for because, of course, they're collecting not only West Claremont's taxes, but everybody in the county's taxes. So it takes them a while to go through that accounting process and actually come out with the final settlement. During the month, the district's expenditures in our general fund were $4.7 million, so just under our typical and customary $5 million. And with the year proceeding, we're actually in very good shape. With 67% of the year passed, we're right at 62%. So we are, our expenditures are tracking well within projections, and we are where we thought we would be at this point in time. Just to mention, the 3rd page, as always, shows your expenditures by function rather than expense item. That said, I respectfully request that you acknowledge and accept the financial statements, bills paid list, and investments for the month and fiscal year to date ended February 28, 2014.
You've heard the recommendation from Mrs. Cropper. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mrs. Cropper, discussion, I'm sorry. Mrs. Cropper, roll call.
Mrs. Brinkman?
Yes.
Mr. Merchant?
Yes.
Mr. Waldman?
Yes.
Ms. Sanborn?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Motion carried. Accepting amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission.
Yes, you know, I always struggle when I bring this resolution to you because it's one of those procedural things that you have to do by code, and basically what it sends to you are the millage amounts that the county has set. They have looked at our evaluations, they have looked at our levies, they have set those rates, and they have sent those to the Ohio Tax Department, who agrees that those rates and our valuation will indeed produce the amount of revenues that we should legally produce since for the voted levies. That said, one of the things they ask school districts to do are to accept these amounts of rates and to certify that they are necessary to the county auditor. So I'm not really sure what would happen should you decide not to, but again, this is just one of those procedural things required by Ohio law, and I respectfully request that you do approve this resolution to be sent to the county auditor.
You've heard the recommendation from Mrs. Cropper. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion?
So the total is 53.5 mils about that we're dealing with right now?
That would be the voted, that would not be
Everything.
the affected.
What's the effective?
The effective rate, let me see if I'm not sure if it's on there. Yeah, they don't have the effective rate on here. The effective rate is going to be around 33 mils, closer to 33 mils, but 53 is the voted.
Why the difference?
Because as you pass tax levies, those levies are approved for a certain amount on carryover property. So as carryover property is property in existence at the time a levy passes. So when you vote on a levy for your home and you're told that it will cost you X amount, as your home increases in value, the property tax rate is dropped so that you pay no more than what you voted on. Now, new construction adds revenues to us, but what they call carryover property, property in existence at the time the levy was passed, does not. Now, keep in mind, they set these rates based upon the total valuation. So the total valuation of carryover property, your individual carryover property may not be exactly at the average, which is why you may pay a little bit more taxes. That means that your home has increased in value more than the average in the district. So voted mills are what was actually voted, and to give you an example, the 7.9 mils, that's what was actually voted. As property values went up, that was reduced at one point to 6.9 mils is all that was being collected on that levy. So that's 6.9 mils would be the effective millage, 7.9 was the voted.
Because of our crazy rules that we can't, as we gain more people in the district, we don't get more money. We build
Correct.
more houses, we don't get more money.
New construction adds, but say we
But the
have
other
a,
declines. I mean, we're set, if we have a levy for $8 million, it's going to be $8 million no matter how many more new homes we build.
new
How
new
many more
construction adds. Sorry to interrupt, but yeah, new construction adds. What happens is new construction, we could get 2 kids from a new construction home, so to speak. Our cost for a pupil is $82.29, so it costs us over $16,000 a year to educate those, and the taxes in the district on that home could be around $1,000 additional. So new construction doesn't help us. New houses being built does bring us a little bit more money, but typically new houses bring more costs than they bring revenue. But that's the difference between effective and voted millage.
Any other discussion?
Clears my brain.
Roll call, Mrs. Cropper?
Mr. Waldman?
Yes.
Mrs. Brinkman?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Merchant?
Yes.
Ms. Sanborn?
Yes. Treasurer's comments.
You know, one of the topics I kind of wanted to discuss with the board tonight is there's been a lot of discussion over the district audit. And I really wanted to take this time to explain to people how the district audit comes about and exactly what it entails. This district does have an annual financial audit every year. And we are, by state law, we do have to have an annual audit. What most people don't realize is that the auditor of state in Ohio is responsible for all audits of political subdivisions. Now, a lot of times he may not have the staff to handle that, or political subdivisions can ask, can we go outside for an audit? Can we have an independent audit? The auditor of state can makes the decision over whether or not they decide to audit West Claremont, or they will allow us to bid. And when I say allow us to bid, we don't manage the bid process. The auditor of state manages the bid process. Now, what will happen is he will invite independent firms to bid. We have a score sheet, whereas we score them on expertise, experience, things like that. I score them. The local state auditor's office score them. We send all that to Columbus, and then Columbus tells us who West Claremont can hire. So we have done it both ways in the past. We have actually, this last year, we were audited by state auditors. For 10 years prior to that, we were bid out twice. It's a 5-year contract. The first time was a local firm, Clark, Schaefer, and Hackett, and the second time, Balestra, out of Scioto County, performed the audit for 5 years. To be honest with you, I'm quite happy with either. I think that both the auditors that we have had from the independent firm have certainly been high quality in terms of expertise and experience. This last year, the state auditor brought us in. After 10 years, they like to bring you in and do the audit themselves. So my question to you is, do you have a preference? Would you like me to ask that our audit be bid out for an independent audit? Do you want to stay with the state audit? And keep in mind, just because I would ask for an independent audit does not mean that we would be selected to have one. They're going to look at their staff and their book of business and how busy they're going to be, and it's truly up to them. So I don't know if I'm just throwing it out. I didn't know if the board had a preference, and I wanted you to understand the process.
Do we know the cost associated? Because I think it would be in our best interest to go with whoever is the cheapest or most cost effective.
Well, I pulled those numbers, and a year ago, Balestra was a flat contract for $25,000. The state auditor charges $41, and we paid them $24,846. So they were within $100 of each other.
It's also important to note that with the state audit just being completed, there were no recommendations, no issues, absolutely no call-outs, no violations.
None whatsoever, and I appreciate you pointing that out.
So I'm... For me personally, I'm perfectly fine with whatever you feel is the appropriate way to move forward.
If we were to go with the state, since they just did that audit, would a lot of it just be redundant that they wouldn't have to repeat, meaning less hours?
That would be true of both whomever we went to, because yeah, that you're right, they would have permanent files where they should have our debt schedules and things that would not change from year to year, they would have in last year's work papers. But that would be true on a 5-year contract as you went forward too. The first year they would gather all the permanent file stuff, and most accounting firms are pretty efficient at that. They've got a list, they send it to us, we make the copies, we give them the box.
Gotcha.
So the previous year's firm had done it for 5 years. They should have already had that efficiency built in. And they were slightly more than the state.
Slightly, Slightly more than the state. Yeah, just 100.
There may be some efficiencies, but it doesn't change the fact that they have to go through this. Each year is different, and they have to follow a certain protocol based on the things that they have to do. So you may have some efficiencies, but they're still going to have to dig and pull the necessary information to conduct that audit.
Yeah, and exactly, and a lot of it depends on what the district's done. I mean, it's going to take them more time if we've issued debt, if we've had a building project, things like that. What happens in the district takes a little bit more time.
I agree with Mr. Waldman. Whatever you feel comfortable with, I'm certainly supportive of.
So are you needing recommendations from us this evening?
I don't need a recommendation. I typically, I mean, if you just want to get back to me later. And like I said, just because we'd asked for an outside audit doesn't mean that we'd get one. And if we don't ask for one and they happen to have too many school districts, we're a large district, we take a lot of time, we might get the calls from them saying, hey, we just don't have time, can we bid you out this year? So it's, I can't stress enough that it is the responsibility of the state auditor, and we're kind of at his mercy on this. It's not necessarily our decision.
So anything you ask for is the wish list that's determined by the state anyway.
Correct. You know, and I don't mean to imply, I'm sure that if I ask if it would work, they would probably go that way. But if they needed the business, they had auditors on staff and they needed an audit, they would respectfully tell me no.
And the previous to the state was from Scioto County?
Yes. I will tell you, I ended up being very happy with them. And just to give you an example, you know what? 5 firms bid on that audit. The Balestra was not the one that I scored the highest. I was concerned about them being out of town. I did not score them the highest. The local office scored another firm the highest, so we sent 2 different firms up, neither being Balestra, and the state auditor selected Balestra because they look at things like how often they had awarded the different accounting firms, how many audits they had given to those versus the size of their staff, and they had determined that they thought the ones that we had selected were already pretty full up on audits for the size of their staff. I do want to point out that even though I'm saying here publicly I did not select them, I was most happy with their work. They were certainly professional, confident, and very, very happy with their work. But I think that, you know, that's probably something a lot of people didn't realize about how our auditors are selected.
Any other discussion?
Doesn't make any difference either way.
Yeah.
To me.
Okay.
Whatever your recommendation is, I'll go along with it.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And as I said, I appreciate that. I just wanted to let you know that piece of information.
Great, thank you. Dr. Klein, superintendent's business.
Yes, under superintendent's business tonight, we have our first piece is a recommendation to approve a field trip for Glen Estee High School DECA Club. DECA stands for Distributive Education Club of America. They and their advisor have requested permission to attend the competition held at the Columbus Convention Center. That competition begins this Friday. They'll return on the 15th. Cost of the trip is completely paid by student contributions, and transportation is actually paid for by Great Oaks. It's a program that we have in conjunction with them. So I'd respectfully request that the board approve the Glen Estee High School overnight field trip request for the DECA Club as presented.
You've heard the recommendation from Dr. Klein. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion?
Is there any school lost over this, or they missed Fridays?
They'll be out of school on Friday.
Friday?
Yeah.
I noticed on the request that there are 9 students going, and it appears as though the advisor is the only chaperone going. Is there consideration to take another adult in the event the chaperone becomes ill or has an emergency that we don't have 9 children unsupervised?
I would have to work that through with them. I can ask. I can certainly ask that question.
I think that they
9
should
to
take
1,
another
10 to 1
adult.
isn't usually a bad ratio, but good point. Yeah. We can check that.
I'd like to see another adult go with them.
Okay.
Of some sort.
Any other discussion? Roll call, Mrs. Cropper.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Merchant?
Yes.
Mrs. Brinkman?
Yes.
Ms. Sanborn?
Yes.
Mr. Waldman?
Yes.
Next item is approved job descriptions. As you know, we have been working on updating our job descriptions so that they are more in alignment with the actual tasks that folks are charged with. Dr. Moffitt's been doing a good job in getting those revised and to the board for approval as we've been able to get those completed. We do have 4 for the board to approve tonight: curriculum instruction supervisor, district school nurse, English as a second language teacher, and English as a second language tutor. We'd respectfully request that the board approve those revised job descriptions as presented.
You've heard the recommendation from Dr. Klein. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
We have a motion and second. Discussion? Roll call, Mrs. Cropper.
Mr. Waldman,
Yes.
Mrs. Brinkman,
Yes.
Ms. Sanborn,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Merchant.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Under personnel this evening, we have several items that I'd like to present to you. First off, on behalf of the Board of Education, we've accepted the following resignations and retirements. There are two I want to bring to your attention. First, Betty Mack. Betty has been a cafeteria worker in West Claremont for 49 years, and she is finally retiring. That over the years is a lot of chicken nuggets. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We also have a retirement that I wanted to mention this evening. John Patrick, he's a math teacher at Glen Estee High School. He'll be retiring after 30 years of service, all of which have been at Glen Estee High School. So congratulations to John as well. Under other action items for tonight in personnel, recommending the approval of supplemental contracts for this school year. These are spring activities and sports. Letter B are also spring activities and sports. A are the folks who are employees of ours already. B are folks that we're getting from the outside to come in and work with our students. They've all been given background checks and have passed those successfully. Under C, classified personnel, we're replacing 2 retired custodians, one at Glen Estee Middle High School campus and one at the Amelia Middle and High School campus. Under D, we have classified exempt parapro aides. Those are limited contracts and non-renewals at the end of the year. Those are folks replacing folks who have left us previously. Under E, substitute personnel, these are classified substitutes who will be on call as needed. Under school volunteers, again, a lengthy list of volunteers, and as you know, we couldn't do the great things we do with kids without our volunteer crew. And lastly, under G, stipend approvals. These are all stipends associated with teachers within the district hosting student teachers over the course of this past term. With that being said, I'd request that the board approve personnel items 1A through G as presented.
You've heard the recommendation from Dr. Klein. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second? Second. Discussion?
A second.
Roll call, Mrs. Cropper.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Ms. Sanborn,
Yes.
Mrs. Brinkman,
Yes.
Mr. Merchant,
Yes.
Mr. Waldman.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda for the board to consider is surrounds pay to participate fees. And on March 1st, we discussed the return of several programs due to our changed financial situation. One of the things that I brought up that I wanted to remind the board was that our pay to participate fees have been extremely high and has actually caused a lot of our students to not participate or even choose to leave our district and go compete with other schools. I sent all of you a proposal. I guess it wasn't really a proposal. It was a kind of a report summary of where we are with pay to participate fees. What I gave you this evening, I put on your seat, is a little bit different than what I sent you on Friday. As opposed to a recommendation per se, I've got several options that I'd like for you to consider. My hope is this evening that I'm going to go through a little bit of this publicly, and then my hope is that we'll have a conversation about your thoughts surrounding pay to participate. This is a school fee, and so our plans are actually to bring the school fees for courses as well for next school year to the board, probably at the April 5th meeting. I can bring, if the board so chooses, I can bring the pay to participate fees at the same time. So we can talk about it, get the direction the board would like us to go, and then bring that back for a vote at the beginning of April if that's acceptable to the board. So a couple things I wanted to point out in the report that I sent to everyone is, folks know we've had a participation fee of $495 per student per sport. No caps for families, no caps for multiple sports, and that has been the case at both the high school and the middle school. In the chart that I gave you in the report, you can see that our enrollment or participation in athletics has dropped from over 500 at both of our high schools to under 400 in both of our high schools over the course of the last 4 or 5 years. In addition to that, I presented to each of you the fees for conference schools that both of our high schools are members of. And you'll very clearly see in the Southern Buckeye Athletic Conference, we sit at $495, Amelia does. The next highest that I see on that list is $230 at Bethel Tate. That's a pretty significant difference. And in fact, one school district has no athletic fees for their students who are participating. On the other side of the district, Eastern Cincinnati Conference, of which Glen Estee is a member, again, we top the league out at $495. I think the next closest that I see there is $185 for the first sport. And then 2 districts, Kings and Walnut Hills, do not have a participation fee that they charge. So very clearly, we're sitting at the top. That's not the first place title I'd like to have, quite honestly. But we sit at the top of both of our leagues as far as what we charge our students to participate. So as we look forward, I think it's important, and we've been looking as hard as we can, looking at a variety of different things that we can do to make sure that our students and families stay in West Claremont, that they're going to school and participating in activities in their hometown, at their home high school. And that's a good thing, as we know, for a variety of reasons. We need to keep our West Claremont kids in West Claremont. Participation fees, for those who don't know, what do those fees cover? And I get that every once in a while. Include coaches' salaries, transportation to and from our events, league dues, facility rentals. You'd think, well, we're a school district, we have facilities. Well, we don't have a bowling alley, and we don't have a swimming pool, and we don't have a golf course. And I think if we did, we'd probably really be hearing about it. That being said, we have to rent those facilities for our teams to compete. And of course, those fees also include equipment and officials that we need to have to officiate the games. I mentioned last Saturday the 1st that for every $100 we reduce the participation fees, that translates to about $100,000 to the general fund. And so just as kind of a reference point, for every $100 we reduce that $495 fee, that costs the district about $100,000. There are districts, a lot of districts in the area and really throughout the state that have also implemented caps, whether it be a cap for an individual athlete or a cap for a family. That has been part of what districts have done as well to make it a little bit more manageable and affordable. Here some options that I came up with and I would share with the board for your consideration. I'd like to see us, if the board feels it's appropriate, to reduce the fee from $495 to $250 per sport. I'd love to be one of those schools that have a zero, but in our day and age, that's just not practical. Another consideration I think that we ought to consider would be that if an athlete plays multiple sports, that they pay that $250 fee for the first and the second sport. If they're in a third sport, that's a zero amount. There's also the possibility of considering family caps. We'd have to talk about where that caps out at, $750, $1,000. Depends on, obviously that equation is going to change a lot depending on the family and how many kids are involved in the sports, et cetera. So just in wrapping up, and then I'll be quiet and let you guys talk about this and give me some direction as to what you want to do. We are, as Mrs. Cropper has presented, due to a lot of different things, in a little bit better place than we were even 2 months ago, 3 months ago. And that's been due largely to the reductions that we've made over the last 13 months, as well as our staff being willing to step up and continue pay freezes and decreases in coverage as far as their health premiums and dental premiums are concerned. So that being said, lowering these fees are going to have an impact on our general fund. There's no doubt about that. I would request the board think about and debate how much of that we feel we can tolerate and still keep the boat afloat. I think we've done a great job as a district in moving from 21 million in the hole to 4, 5, 6 million in the black. We've righted the ship and we've plugged the holes, and now it's charting a new course as to where we want to go. So with that being said, with some options that I presented on this end, I'd be very interested in hearing what the different board members have to say and what your thoughts are on pay to or participate fees as we look at next school year. So with that, I'll be quiet and open the floor to your feedback.
Okay, discussion from the board members this evening?
I like the idea of the 250. I like the idea of a two-sport cap for an individual. We have a lot of families, and respectful, we have a lot of families that have multiple children. We're talking 4, 5, 6 kids that are all playing sports. And I think that if we have a family cap right now, we may be cutting it short for ourselves. I'd rather see us have maybe a two-sport for an individual, and then maybe next year reassess it to see if we should implement the family cap. I'm sorry, yeah, the family cap.
So I want to make sure I'm hearing you right. You're suggesting the 250 with a two-sport individual student cap, and then take another look in another year and maybe phase in a family cap, provided the financials are stable.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
And you would figure the cost if we went to a 250 would be in the 250,000.
Yep, about $250,000 to provide that to our athletes.
I'll also add to that, and I've spoken to you in the past probably 2 years about this. I don't agree with the same fee being assessed to the academic team, because I feel that that's an extension of the classroom. And I don't know that 250 is the right number. I don't know that it's the wrong number. I'm just throwing it out there that I have little heartburn over that.
Okay. And
how do you say that? You don't have referees, you don't have bowling alleys, you don't have, you know what I'm saying? You don't have the fees associated with that.
I'm still trying to figure out how you get 800 students and $100,000 and 100 per student. That those numbers don't.
well, we have about 1,000 athletes if you look at junior high athletes as well. So most of this is framed on the high school kids, but we have junior high athletes that are a part of that as well.
And this is strictly athletics.
It is strictly athletics, and I know that you had asked me earlier today about marching band and dance, I think. What I will say about those two are both are co-curricular. They're part of the school day. Dance has a fee that is charged for the class that goes towards the materials and supplies that they need. Their teacher is not on a supplemental contract. The teacher is the teacher, the classroom teacher. For band, marching band students pay through school fees as well. Their total this past year was $390. 100 of that was band camp expense. The other part of that, $290, I guess, was expenses for marching band itself. And that would include things like transportation and those kinds of things. So that's where we've been as far as those groups are concerned.
Is there a breakdown of by sport, what they're being charged versus what it costs to run that sport?
I can have that pulled together for you in detail if you'd like. Yeah.
Well, that's where it's going to be obviously imbalanced because.
I mean, cross country.
That's it.
What do they need for cross country other than a doublet? And
football,
coach,
when
and
you have
football, you've got
certification of the helmets and everything. Yeah. You know, so that's where it's kind of balanced and affordable.
It's going to be hard to manage.
We can certainly break those costs down. Part of it is as Mr. Waldman just alluded, part of that is a management issue. Not that makes it right or wrong, but when we get down to $250, and I'll go back and I can pull that information, as we get down to around the $250 range, I think that you'll see that there are they may not add up quite to 250, but it's going to be obviously a lot closer. And I think it's important that we remember that there are things that add up in the expense column, even for some of those teams that maybe we don't think do. When we talk about bowling. Most kids, I would assume, bring their ball, but we still have to pay a coach. We still have to pay transportation. We still have to pay rental for the facility when we go there. Same for tennis. There's not a lot of stuff that goes with tennis, but we still have to pay a coach. We still have to pay for transportation, those kinds of things as well. So I can have the athletic directors work on a breakdown of that, if that would be good information for you to have. I think 250 certainly levels the playing field a bit more. And quite honestly, some of those sports that have been the beneficiaries of the higher fee probably are the ones that we're going to have to end up supplementing to meet the expenses of that particular sport. You're right, there's difference in what different sports cost, but I wouldn't assume that it doesn't cost anything.
And there's differences between high school and middle school. We're talking
Correct.
about a flat fee of $250.
Right.
Well, then you get into the conversation, well, the middle school don't play as many games, they don't
Correct.
travel as far, they don't have this and that, they don't have as many coaches.
Right.
Is it fair for them to pay the $250 at the same rate that the high school's paying? So that you get into the many levels of the question there, that what's the right answer?
Well,
I think $250 is the better answer than $495.
Oh, I think that's a given.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that even shows up on this list from the two conferences that our schools are in is they don't do a breakdown, and that's typically not been my experience when they'll break it down in that format. I would say there's a huge amount of work that's going to be engaged with that, and that may be something that would be worth asking them to consider a year from now. But frankly, I'd really like to see us be in a position to make a cut now and see what that impact is a year from now, and then see if at that point, are there some additional adjustments that we can make based on some additional information that our ADs or our administration has pulled together that may be worth looking at? That $495 figure's big money, and if we can drop it now and see what that impact is, I think that's something that would be beneficial to our families.
Yep. I agree.
That's my thought.
Has that $495 been budgeted already? Will it,
Not for next school year, no.
well, but if we did it now?
We can do it now for next school year.
For next
Yeah,
school year.
it wouldn't. Yeah, spring sports are already up and underway.
So they've already paid.
As long as the weather cooperates, we'll be hitting baseballs real soon, we hope.
So I'm in agreement with the $250 per student. I think have you had an opportunity to survey the parents to get their opinion about what we should charge them?
Well, I do not. My assumption is going to be that we're not going to get a lot of pushback going to 250. And as I said, I'd love for us to be in the position to be one of those schools that it was zero.
Do nothing.
Because I really believe kids are in high school once, and they ought to take advantage of every opportunity that they have presented to them. That being said, our financial reality isn't going to allow us to do that. Okay. So I think 250, I think for most parents, I think that would be a blessing.
Yes.
And when we see it, have you projected how much more participation we will see so that the cost may not be quite as...
Well, and I think we will see that the kids, and this is kind of how, at least in my experience, is how it's worked, kids that maybe have left us to go elsewhere, and this is the case with athletics, it's the case with elementary schools, it's the case with anybody who's left our district, made the choice to leave West Claremont, go elsewhere. That one's going to be harder to pull back in, just because they've got new friends, they've got new, whatever. What I think we'll see the bump take place is that kids who have been priced out of doing more than one or not doing any sports are the kids I think we'll start seeing. It's really hard to project that at this point, but I suspect that we will see a pretty significant bump as we move forward. Fall will be a good indicator.
Yes.
Should we entertain it?
So is there?
Go ahead.
So is there any way that we'll be able to bring the students that left back into our district? Are you going to try to communicate with those parents and say we are looking at reducing the fees?
We certainly can. Yes.
Okay.
Yep, certainly can.
Is there a value in doing a motion now to just drop it? and then we'll make it clear to our parents, and Elena, you'll have that information. So
Want to give us a recommendation?
is there consensus to do that?
I'd say Dr. Klein give us a recommendation and we'll go from there.
Is that
We're going to discuss fees
acceptable?
at the next meeting.
We'll supply fees, the fees that are attached to specific courses. And those are for consumables, things that students use up in that course, and we can't reuse. So we're working on those now, and I hope to have a recommendation on that by April 5th.
So before the end of the school year, we'll have a decision made.
Absolutely.
On athletics or on
Yes.
fees in general?
Fees in general.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yes. So do you want me to make a
Want me to make
recommendation?
the
I can make a
motion?
recommendation. Well, I won't make a motion. I'll make a recommendation. How's
Make
that?
a recommendation, please.
All right, I would make the recommendation that we lower both high and middle school fees from $4.95 to $2.50 per student per sport. That includes the first two sports. That fee would be in place for the first two sports, and that there would be no fee for the third sport in any given year.
You've heard the recommendation from Dr. Klein. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Roll call, Mrs. Cropper.
Wait a minute,
Whoops.
wait a minute. And I had another question for you.
Okay?
You're saying the max any student's going to pay is $250 or $500?
$500.
Okay. And how does that impact the budget? Mrs. Cropper, I mean, what's that?
Well, if we've estimated around that it will take an additional $200,000 from the general fund. What that doesn't take into account, because we have no way of projecting, is how many more athletes may pay. That's just a straight out, if we take $200 per student out of the fee, that's how much it's going to be. So we would hope there'd be less than that, and as a accountant, I'm always conservative, so I'm putting the high number instead of the low.
And what I would say is my experience has been that we have a lot of one-sport athletes. We have a decent number of two-sport athletes, but a three-sport athlete is pretty unique. So I don't know that will be that many kids, but I think if they're willing to go out there and represent their school in 3 seasons, a little bit of a break's not a bad thing.
And if you play that out, their 5-year budget projection, what that would look like?
That would take, well, if through 5 years, it would take.
That'd add $1.25 million?
It'd add $1 million. And we would, like I said, and that's a very conservative, that after 5 years, it would take $1 million out of the budget, but we certainly hope that would bring more athletes in to the fold, so that the revenues would be a little bit more, and we'll continue to work with the ADs in terms of number of coaches and any other efficiencies that we can find.
Any other discussion? Roll call, Mrs. Cropper.
Mrs. Brinkman?
Yes.
Mr. Merchant?
Yes.
Mr. Waldman?
Yes.
Ms. Sanborn?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Motion carries.
I'm not sure if those hoots were from our cheerleaders still, or moms and dads going. I did want to touch base real quick under superintendent's business or comments. We did, I think this board did a lot of tremendous work back on March 1st as we looked at our financial situation where we were currently and looking at things that our kids need as we move forward. And I want to give you just a little bit of an update. I'm proud to say that our staff, in conjunction with Child Focus, have been working diligently for the last 9 days in trying to put some things together to get information out to parents as quickly as as we possibly can. So first, as many of you know, we are going to be looking at art, music, and PE. It's going to be more limited than what I'd like for it to be, but at least our students will be getting some of those experiences at least on a monthly basis moving forward. Second, we are working through the details of moving back to half-day, everyday model for our preschool and our kindergarten. I have to share with you, this made my day today. This reminded me of why I do what I do. I got two cards today from WT Elementary preschool class at WT Elementary. It says, Dr. Klein, thank you for helping us having school every day next year. We really love school. We love to play with our friends, and we love learning from our teachers every day. Sincerely, the preschool class at WT. The other one says, the students in Miss Jane's preschool at WT want to say thank you for helping us return to an everyday schedule for next year. We love school. We think coming to school every day is cool. So I'll pass these down because, quite honestly, the faces are priceless. As far as the Kindergarten Plus, and if you remember last week on the first one we talked about that, our kindergartners will have a half a day, either morning or afternoon, and then we're working with Child Focus to build in a second half of the day, whether it's morning or afternoon. We are in the final throes of putting together the financial side of that with Child Focus, and I'm expecting to send things home with, actually I'm meeting with principals tomorrow. We'll be sending home information with all of our elementary students by the end of this week. So parents, look in your Friday folders. You should find information about K+ if you are going to have a kindergartner for next year. One of the things that we struggle with, and this is the case every year, we don't know what kindergartners are out there necessarily, especially if that kindergartner is a first child. And so I would encourage the parents that are in the district right now, everybody else, if you know of a 4-year-old hanging around out there, have their parent get in touch with us as quickly as possible because we certainly want to get them enrolled for the start of next school year. I'm also very excited about extended day. One of the things we talked about last year was providing daycare prior to the start of the day and after school. I know that the transportation, where we are with transportation has put some major pinches on our parents, and certainly I want to try to modify that if we can. That information will be coming home to our elementary students in their weekend folders as well. So parents, if you would look for that. And I think you're going to find, I'm going home and checking math again tonight, but I think parents, you're going to find that both for K+ and extended day, that we are going to be very affordable in comparison with other options that you may have had to use in the past. So please look for that information. We expect a big turnout. We expect a big response. So I'd encourage you to get that information back to us as quickly as we possibly can. So I did want to give you an update on the work that we've done since we talked about this last. Very excited about it. We've gotten a lot of emails from parents, from teachers, from kids, thanking the administration and the school board for looking at ways to improve the experience our kids have here in West Claremont. So I think we're on the right track. I'm very excited about it, and again, we'll be sending details out to parents by the end of this week. So, other than that, that is the extent of the superintendent's business for tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Klein.
You're welcome.
Public comment, Alex Wakefield, sunshine laws and fiscal responsibility.
My name is Alex Wakefield. I live at 3918 Green Tree Terrace, Amelia, Ohio. Before I get to my prepared statements, I would like to thank the board for their action on participating for sports. I and my brother participated in 3 sports when we were in high school at Glenesty. Our mother worked at Gold Star Chili because she was a widow. We would not have participated with such things. You have just opened it up for people that don't have the money to let their kids participate, that they get not only the social value of participating in a team sport, but it will change their health life for the rest of their lives. Good evening. As I watched the travesty unfold before me in the meeting of February 10th, a member of the board, Mr. Merchant, also a Tea Party member, made a motion that was seconded by Mr. Lewis, also a Tea Party member. This motion was to replace the district's present legal counsel, Frost Brown Todd, a motion that the Tea Party members clearly knew was coming and was outside the privy of Mr. Waldman and Ms. Brinkman. Although the evidence is purely circumstantial, it would seem clear that a violation of the revised code provision on round-robin or serial meetings had occurred. This provision states, unless two members constitute a majority, isolated one-on-one conversations between individual members of a public body regarding its business, either in person or by phone, do not violate the Ohio Open Meeting Act. However, a public body may not circumvent the requirements of the Act by setting up back-to-back meetings of less than a majority of its members with the same topic of public business discussed at each. Such conversations may be considered multiple parts of the same improperly private meeting. Although I am not a lawyer, nor did I stay in the Holiday Inn Express last night, I am still capable of understanding this provision and what was tried to be done at that meeting. The fact is made even clearer with the withdrawal of Frost Brown Todd from the vetting process. It would seem even they knew a line had been crossed. As to fiscal responsibility, could any of you on the board tell me how it would be fiscally responsible to move to a flat rate of over $84,000 a year as proposed, instead of paying the $36,000 we paid in 2012 and the $73,486 we paid in 2013. I say there is no fiscal responsibility in this. Can any of the board members who are Tea Party members explain this to me? Is this fiscal responsibility or political payback? I now understand that 3 of you on the board are new. I also understand that a 4th member on this board, even though she has served for 2 years already, is woefully underqualified for her position. I watched in disbelief in the meeting on March 1st as Dr. Klein and Mr. Waldman directed her and prompted her how to conduct the meeting. It was a joke. Either you take charge and get out of the way and let someone else do it. Meetings do not conduct themselves. Her position as president, it would seem, was given to her for only 2 reasons. First, and least of important, is she's a Tea Party member. After all, she's a good soldier, right, Mr. Lewis? Second, and most important, she has been, she is now, and it would seem will continue to be manipulated from behind the scenes. Manipulated not for the benefit of this district, not for the benefit of the parents of this district, and certainly not for the benefit of the students of West Claremont, but rather for the purpose of furthering
8 seconds.
Furthering the Tea Party's agenda. It is now March, and time has been wasted. I believe a greater effect of cooperation is needed, and I believe I saw that on March 1st, and I wish you continued to do so. Thank you.
Any other cards, Dr. Klein?
I don't have any, no.
I do not.
Board business? Board comments? Sorry.
I want to throw one thing in. I did put at your spots tonight a calendar for March, April, May, and June. I know that I've heard from a couple of you about additional meetings, and I know that we had some issues in finding common meeting nights in the past. Certainly not opposed to additional meetings. As I look at our list of priorities, we have a lot to get through between now and summertime. So what I would ask is that you review those and get back with me on your availability. I'll try to pull that together and see if we can find another date or two to add an additional meeting. So I don't know if there's any comments about having additional meetings to start with, but the issue we've stumbled over in the past has been finding dates that work for everybody.
Okay.
I'm disappointed to see that our work session in April is going to occur during spring break. A lot of families, a lot of community members, etc.
Yeah, that was set without really even acknowledging that spring break was there. If the board would chooses to move that, certainly we can take a look at that as well.
You still out of town every week?
I am. I'm sorry.
Kind of limits it.
Is the 29th an option? Are you out, Tammy?
No, I'm in.
Is that an option that we might?
29th of March.
Go the week before?
That's the beginning of
Well,
spring
that's
break. But that's
beginning of
the
spring break,
beginning.
Saturday.
Yeah, so
it's
a
that
lot of
week.
parents may be gone as well.
All right.
The only suggestion I had was maybe looking at the 12th, but
That's only 2 days before our 14th.
that would put them very close together, wouldn't it? We would be busy preparing.
I guess I, for one, would like to see us have more regular meetings than once a month. To me, it's far too much time goes on, and I think there are enough things that this board needs to be in tune to that there's a value in having them twice a month. So my hope is that we could work something out where we can come up with an additional date a month. And frankly, I don't think we have enough work sessions considering some of the issues that are on the table. So right now, I'm a proponent for more meetings.
What was you had proposed initially a Thursday night?
Tuesdays,
Tuesdays.
second, fourth Tuesday instead of the second and fourth Monday.
I know I can't do 2 Tuesdays a month. I could probably rearrange things if we wanted to do the 4th Tuesday.
That'd be great.
March and April might be a little bit tight for me, but I can commit to doing that.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
She said the 4th Tuesday.
As an additional business?
Yeah, Mr. Lewis had suggested us move our meetings to Tuesdays. I can't do that on a regular, every other week, but I could do once a month. Being the 4th Tuesday.
It's up to the board.
I apologize for that. It's work. I'm sorry.
That'd be great if we can do it.
So
could you do it as soon as this month, or
Get to it on the 25th.
is everybody good with that date that we could add it, March 25th? And then do the 4th Tuesday beyond that for April and beyond? Is everybody good with that? Jim?
Does that work for Dr. Klein?
We'll make it work.
Does that work for you,
It works for me.
Tina?
Mm-hmm.
So what I believe I'm hearing is everything is staying as is with the exception of adding a regular business meeting on the 4th Tuesday of the month.
Yes.
Is that accurate?
Correct.
I would ask, since we're talking calendar, and I don't need to know tonight, but it would be helpful to me if we took a look at a different date for that May 3rd meeting, maybe sliding it a week to the 10th due to a personal commitment that's come up. But I can check with each of you. I'll put that in the update this week, and you can check your calendars, okay? All right, we'll get those 4th Tuesdays publicly announced, posted, whatever Mrs. Cropper does. And then we'll keep with everything else as scheduled, although I asked that you take a look at that 3rd and 10th of May. I'll touch base with you later about that.
Right now, I can tell you, it looks like I'm going to be out of town the 10th.
On the 10th? Okay.
That whole
And the
week.
17th?
Through the 17th.
Okay.
I'm going to miss that meeting, most
Okay.
likely.
On advertising, the 4th Tuesday, we'll need to bring some of those back to you. The June, we do have the 26th,
Correct.
which is a Thursday. If we could keep that Thursday, I'd like to keep that in June, because what I do is close the financial records and bring you all that data. And every extra day helps when we go to close. So I'd like that one, and then we'll take a look and see if there are other holiday conflicts or school calendar conflicts for the 4th Tuesday beyond these 4 months we have here, and get that information back to you.
I might suggest, and this, well, I'll put this in the update, but we don't have a work session set for June. We probably, with your consideration, look at moving that June 3rd work session, I'm sorry, May 3rd work session to June 7th. Just not have a work session in May, since we now have 2 meetings. But again, I'll put that in the update for you to consider.
Okay.
Okay? That's all I had, Ms. Sanborn. Thank you.
Thank you. Executive session? Okay. Make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
In a second? Second?
Yep. Second.
Roll call, Mrs. Cropper?
Mrs. Brinkman?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Merchant?
Yes.
Ms. Sanborn?
Yes.
Mr. Waldman?
Yes.
Meeting's adjourned?